Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I'm Brian Zipsy, and as always, I'm joined by Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
I'm terrific, Brian. Looking forward to doing the show.
As always, I am as well, Matt. Here we go. I thought it'd be fun. After the Triple Crown is over, I kind of think of it as the mid-season part of the racing year. Triple Crown, of course, was huge, but let's talk about who we think would win the awards for the best three-year-old filly, and so on, all the way down the list if the season ended halfway. You game for that, Matt?
I am game for that because I'm pretty sure we'll be able to nail at least a couple of them at this point.
A couple of them for sure. And let's talk about the three-year-old male. Do we need to talk about anybody other than perhaps American Pharoah?
I don't think so. I think that's a done deal. American Pharoah, Triple Crown winner, will be the 3-year-old male champion.
He will be the three-year-old male champion in our mid-season awards, Matt, but we already know he's going to be three-year-old champion for real at the end of the year. Can't have a better first half of the season than American Pharoah. 5 for 5, Revel, Arkansas Derby, Preakness, Kentucky Derby. I said those last two out of order. I'm not sure why. And then, of course, the Belmont Stakes, which I thought was the best of his 5. First Triple Crown winner in 37 years. We're going to watch him sweep home in the Belmont, Matt. 3-year-old champion. Of course, I think we're going to give him another award, mid-season award, a little bit later in the show. But let's quickly change gears since that was a no-brainer. And we have plenty of brains, so let's talk about some tougher ones. How about the 3-year-old filly?
Yeah, that certainly is a tougher one at this point. And I guess at the top of the list right now would be Lovely Maria off her 2 Grade 1 wins down in Kentucky in the Ashland, and then taking the biggest 3-year-old filly race so far, the Kentucky Oaks.
Well, it was nice to see her win for Boo Boo Clark. He got his first 2 Grade 1 wins, Ashland, Kentucky Oaks. She won them both impressively. But wait a minute. I thought you were a gigantic Lady Eli fan. Is she not in the picture just because she's turf, or what's going on here?
She might be in the picture, but as I was looking ahead to some of the other awards, I think she might be in the picture for another award later on in the show also.
Okay. Yeah, Lady Eli's been super impressive. She has a better overall record in that she's only 2 for 2, while Lovely Maria has been beaten, of course, this year. But those grade ones, I think we agree right now, if it ended, Lovely Maria is your 3-year-old filly champion. So what's next, Matt? How about we go to the older males? And I think this is getting a little bit more interesting than it was a month ago.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think this is pretty wide open right now. And if we had to put at the top of the list, I think we would have to put Shared Belief at the top of the list right now. But, I'm a little dubious about him because I'm thinking we're not going to see him again this year. So his perch at for that award, I think, is in jeopardy. I think we got to put one of your favorite horses right in there right now, don't we, Brian?
Well, I think there's a lot of older horses that are in the running. Yeah, I liked Honor Code a lot in the Met Mile, and he looked great. Second graded stakes win. He also won the Gulfstream Park Handicap in impressive fashion. Didn't run too much at all in the Alice Sheba, so he's 2 for 3 this year. Same record as Shared Belief, Matt, but Shared Belief, I think, won bigger, more prestigious, or at least more written about races in beating California Chrome in the showdown in the San Antonio, winning the big cap in impressive fashion. So the slight edge goes to Shared Belief. I'm in agreement with you on that one. If the season ended today, but we know that Shared Belief is almost 99% not going to run the rest of the year. So I think the chances of him holding on to this award as we look ahead a little bit are slim to none. And you got Honor Code, you got Tonalist, you got California Chrome coming back to America. I mean, you got a slew of good older horses that are ready and willing. And right now, yeah, Honor Code would be the closest off that huge Met Mile win.
Yeah, but you never know if all of these horses take their turn and win one race and then they're done the rest of the season. It could be interesting at the end of the year for older dirt mail.
Especially if a certain 3-year-old we already talked about a little bit is around for the Breeders' Cup Classic and American Pharoah wins the Breeders' Cup Classic. Yeah, the older male, we might be going back to the beginning and looking at the first half that's Shared Belief. Our slight choice over Honor Code for older male mid-season award. Older female is interesting too. We're both We both kind of felt it beforehand, but we're both really confident that Untappable just isn't quite the same yet this year, at least.
Yeah, she hasn't shown her stuff, but, I will give her another chance. I haven't heard anything that they are still gonna continue on with her, so we'll give her another chance, and, I think right now, if we had to give out the award, I think we'd both probably go with Beholder, but again, end of the year big races are not at Santa Anita this year, so that kinda puts a question mark up for me with Beholder. uh She's almost unbeatable at Santa Anita, but what about a Keeneland for the Breeders' Cup? It'll be interesting. Throw in Wedding Toast, who has been super impressive also. Think it could end up being pretty wide open.
Not so fast, my friend. I think I have a different take on this whole thing here, Matt. First off, if I was going to vote for the older female champion as of the middle of the season right now, I have no doubt that it would have to be Wedding Toast. Wedding Toast won bigger races than Beholder. She won the Ruffian very impressively, and then she bopped Untappable in the nose with the world watching in the Grade One Ogden Phipps. She's lost some races early in the year down south. She's not been perfect, but those two big wins at Belmont, I think that's earned her the midseason award as older female in my mind. Having said that, I think Beholder's a better horse, and I think Beholder's just fine outside of California. Obviously, Santa Anita, she's been stupendous. 10 wins, 1 second, 11 races. That's incredible. But if she can come to Kentucky like she did for the Kentucky Oaks and run such a good race, then I have no problem believing a healthy Beholder is strictly the one to beat in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. So I'm going Beholder later and Wedding Toast now.
Sounds reasonable, although I'm going to keep my question marks out there for Beholder away from Santa Anita.
Fair enough. She's only 2 out of 6, 2 wins, 2 seconds out of 6 away from Santa Anita. I believe in her though down the road. Okay, so who else? What else are we talking about, Matt? How about turf? Let's go to the green stuff. Um, the turf males, I think, wide open right now. We don't know. Wise Dan hasn't run for a long time. Main Sequence has had one race in America, one race in the Middle East, in Dubai. Who's the older male turf champ as of the midseason?
Uh, right now, I would have trouble voting for anybody right now, but looking ahead, I'm going to stick with Main Sequence. He's going to pick up his American campaign at the United Nations where he launched it uh, last year. And let's not forget, he does have a very good win in the U.S. Early in the late winter, early spring, also. So he does have a good win under his belt. I'm going Main Sequence. I'm still concerned about whether we're going to get to see Wise Dan again this year. Um, haven't heard too much about progress in his training. And it's only mid-year, but it is June, and the calendar flips by really quickly when you're trying to bring a horse back.
Well, there's a lot of big races for Wise Dan, both Kentucky, Saratoga. So if he is able to come back, we're all rooting for that. We want to see it happen. But frankly, he cannot be in our discussion as far as a midseason award. I think maybe the most consistent turf horse this year has been Finnegan's Wake, but he's lost some recently. Nice win at Churchill on Derby Day, but he lost. It wasn't the greatest trip in the Manhattan. So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Main Sequence, even though he's only 1 for 2. That McDermott was out of this world. Uh,
It
just
was.
just inhaled a good horse in Twilight Eclipse down the lane, and it showed us that he's the same horse he was last year. The Dubai trip didn't go perfectly. I'm expecting to see him back soon. In a division where they've taken turns beating each other, he's the only one who hasn't been beaten in America. So I'll go with Main Sequence too. Even the milers have been beating each other. I think this division will really sort itself out a little bit better down the road. How about the turf females? I think there's been some more consistency on that end so far, Matt.
Yeah, again, that was a wide open category last year, and I have a feeling it's going to be a wide open category again this year. I mentioned the 3-year-old lady Eli earlier. I know for her to be considered in this category, she's going to need to continue winning against 3-year-olds and hopefully step up and beat the older girls also and take down that division. So I'm a big Lady Eli fan. But we saw a good one in Tepin in the Justa game on Belmont weekend, and Waltzing Matilda appeared from the other side of the pond and ran a big race that weekend also. So and the usual suspects, Stephanie's Kitten, etc.
Et cetera, et cetera. I like the first two you mentioned, mid-season awards. I think those two, Tepin and Lady Eli, have been the best. Lady Eli, frankly, Matt, I don't know about you, but I think she is the most promising young turf filly I've seen in this country in a long time, and that includes horses like Winter Memories. I think what Lady Eli has done in her short career is remarkable. She hasn't beaten a ton yet in her first two races, two graded stakes. Keeneland and Belmont. Very impressive. Until she steps up to older, though, I'm not ready to move her up to the Eclipse Award or even the Mid-Season Award. So my choice is Tepin. Two big stages, Churchill Downs on Derby weekend. She looked great in the Distaff Turf Mile, and then again in the Just a Game over a really good field on Belmont Day. So I'm going to go Tepin for best older turf female for the first half of the year. Let's get to the sprinters, and I think again we're looking at some divisions that have plenty of decisions to be made here for these mid-season awards from HorseCenter. What do you like in the sprint division, Matt?
For the male sprinters, I like Rockfall, who we saw run a huge race in the True North on Belmont weekend for Stone Street Stables. Only loss that horse has in his career is a maiden race, and his step up into graded stakes company. Uh, Belmont weekend stamps him as a definite contender in that category.
Agreed. Rockfall has been just super impressive. The problem with it, though, if we were going to end the season today and give out the awards, I'm not sure that two allowance races and the Grade Two True North are enough. Now, having said that, a lot of these horses have not put graded stakes wins together. In fact, my choice is one that hasn't won more than one graded stakes as well. I mean, I thought about Secret Circle. He won that big race in Dubai, but he hasn't. He's 0 for 1 in America. I thought of Alsvid, who's just been outstanding in the Midwest, looking like a real big time sprinter, maybe a little bit like Work All Week last year. And coincidentally, he beat Work All Week at Churchill. But my choice is the horse that I think is the classiest sprinter in the country is Private Zone. He's had 3 races this year. He got beat twice by Honor Code, but in both of those races, I thought he ran huge. Those races were at a mile, Matt. The only race he ran under a mile, I consider the best sprint of the year, pretty easily, by the way. That Churchill Downs sprint on Derby Day was fantastic. He beat off anybody that pressured him early. Nate's Mineshaft, Bayern never got close to him. He came home a romping winner, fast time. Private Zone, he's my sprinter of the year so far off that one win and 2 very good losses, frankly. Female sprinters, I'm looking at another horse that ran that same weekend at Churchill Downs, Dame Dorothy. Do you have anybody else for us besides Dame Dorothy?
I don't really at this point, and she ran really big in that Humana Distaff down in Kentucky, and before that she ran in some longer races, mile and eighth races, and ran big in those. But the cut back to 7 furlongs, she was super impressive.
Yeah, in fact, her 2 wins this year are both at 7 furlongs. So hopefully they found a new home for her. I know they've tried her over a mile several times in her career, and I think she's a decent Grade Two filly doing that. But maybe a new home for Dame Dorothy. She won the Sunshine Millions female sprint, distaff sprint early in the year, and then we saw a bang up race at Churchill Downs where she beat the defending
Right.
champ Judy the Beauty, Breeders' Cup winner last year in a really good race. She had Judy the Beauty measured, I think, in that race. And I would say whoever won that race, that battle down the stretch, and it was Dame Dorothy, is my choice for mid-season female sprinter. All right, what else we got, Matt? Do you want to even talk about the youngsters? I mean, we haven't really seen much from the 2-year-olds yet. Is there any point to giving a mid-season award?
I don't know, but I think we saw a pretty good 2-year-old male in New York in Cocked and Loaded. the Chicago-based horse who has run two really nice races and not your typical precocious 2-year-old races where they just shoot out of the gate, go to the lead, and are in front every step of the way. This is a horse that's already shown that he can come from off the pace. He can find his way through traffic. He can overcome a little bit of adversity. This is a 2-year-old who maybe has a little bit more potential down the road than the typical 2-year-olds that show up in April and May.
I'm with you, Matt. I went to New York wanting to bet that horse, and I was happy to see him win the Tremont Stakes we're talking about. He really looked good in the mornings here in Chicago. Like you said, I'm impressed too, because in both the Keeneland race and the Tremont, he was able to come off the pace, which is not easy for these young 2-year-olds early in the season to do in these short races. Colonel John's his sire. He should be a horse that can get a distance. So I think they might have something good. And yeah, at this point, he's my mid-season 2-year-old champ. I'm with you, Matt. And for that matter, probably we would just look to the Tremont sister race, the Astoria, as the lone representative of a stakes-winning filly right now. New York hosted Moment Is Right from the Wesley Ward barn. She flashed a lot of speed, and then she beat off the favorite that day. And she's a daughter of Medaglia-Doro, so I think the potential for her to run longer is there. On the other hand, she looks awfully precocious, and this might be her moment to shine. She, like Cocked and Loaded, is 2 for 2.
Yeah, it could be. And it's always promising when a Wesley Ward horse wins its maiden and then comes right back and wins the stakes race. They don't always do that. So this one maybe has a little bit more to her than some of those others.
Yeah, Moment Is Right. 2-year-old filly mid-season champ for us. All right, Horse of the Year, Matt. We had a lot of good candidates. We had Shared Belief and Honor Code and Lovely Maria, maybe Main Sequence, Rockfall, Pepins, Private Zone, Tonalist. I could go on. You're shaking your head, Matt. I've just named 8 great candidates. You're still shaking. American Pharoah, is that the name you wanted to hear?
There we go.
Horse of the first half year.
It's a done deal. Doesn't matter what happens the rest of the year, Brian. Honor Code could win 6 races in a row the rest of the year. Doesn't matter. American Pharoah will be Horse of the Year, and American Pharoah's connections will probably win all of the human associated Eclipse Awards also.
Oh, Matt, I don't even want to get into the humans yet for the mid-season awards. Let's keep this simple enough with the horses. Hey, I agree with you. I remember back in 1978 when Affirmed won the Triple Crown, obviously a great 3-year-old, but his second half of the season wasn't the greatest. Another Triple Crown winner by the name of Seattle Slew decisively beat Affirmed in the fall. He proved to be, Seattle Slew as a 4-year-old versus Affirmed as a 3-year-old. Seattle Slew proved to be the better horse, but come Horse of the Year, there was no denying the Triple Crown. And right, whether we're talking mid-season or end of the season, I think this is Pharoah, fait accompli. American Pharoah will be the 2015 Horse of the Year.
I'm just got one word, American Pharoah. I'll see you at the Haskell.
See you at the Haskell. I hope that's what's going to happen. I'll see you there too, Matt. We're going to watch American Pharoah do a little celebration parade for the folks at Churchill Downs. Almost 30,000 people. Who says horse racing's dead, Matt? Almost 30,000 people came out. They didn't come out for the Stephen Foster so much. They came out to see their new hero, American Pharoah. Thanks for joining us. As always, we're brought to you by Horse Racing Nation and Derby Wars. We will see you next week on another edition of HorseCenter.